Okay, welcome to week technically 7. This is week 7. We're redoing it. We're going to be covering the history of the Jedi Creed and kind of going into Jediism and the birth of isms within the Jedi community. There should be links in all the descriptions, however you guys caught on to watching this. There should be links in the description for you to follow along. If not, you can follow along with the video. So the first place we're just going to jump into is we're going to jump into the Jedi Creed. Well, technically we're going to go to Jedi Council first, because this was the birthplace of the Jedi Creed. Okay, so you have the Jedi Council, which was brought together between an alliance of two role-playing groups, the Jedi Alliance and Jedi Alliance 2. Now, Jedi Alliance was run by a guy named Mithra online, and Jedi Alliance 2 was run by Serene. All of this information is all right down here for you. So I am technically useless during this part. You can read this all. This website is not a working website, as it says here. It's just for display purposes. And it's one of those sites that really kind of got lost to time for a long time. Like, not even Wayback Machine is going to help you out and find this for you. But through the efforts of Relin, he was able to find the materials and kind of put up this, what the original homepage looked like. Now, Relin joined this site, and that's why he kind of had an affinity for it. And the three of them, Serene, Mithra, and Relin, really got into the idea of Jedi philosophy, or living the Jedi way, applying the philosophy and the ideas of the Jedi in everyday life, and kind of being a better person because of that, and seeing how it works for you. So they decided to. They felt the Jedi Council, because it was very much a role-play focused group. They wanted to kind of expand that idea, and they wanted to expand what they were working on, and the idea of living as a Jedi. So they ended up going and creating the Jedi Creed. And again, you should have all the links, but if you don't, Jedi Creed right here for you. Now this is kind of a little bit newer version, but basically the layout and the look and the feel is the same as the original Jedi Creed. And this is what they created. This is what they put together. Now, role-playing was still a really big focus for the group. They really had a dedicated membership to it. Mostly their chat rooms were all about role-playing and providing a safe environment for that. They had dedicated forums for role-playing. And but then the main members, the people who really got behind the idea and kind of encouraged other role players to get behind the idea, to add their 2 cents, if nothing else, right? The Star Wars fans kind of giving their interpretations of the fiction and the inspiration behind Jedi. And so they had, so the forums really took off with that. There was a lot of discussion, because there was that encouraging for role players to get involved, as well as the core membership really focusing on how can we make this into something that's real, and how can we really apply this to our lives. So unlike the last site, which none of the links work, you are going to find that all these links work for you. These are all back from the 1999 to about 2001 era. The lessons you'll find here kind of vary, but they should all work for you. And it's available for you to peruse and go through, and despite its age, there's always going to be something that you can take from this. So enjoy it. There's a lot of role playing here that takes place too. A lot of fiction, a lot of exploring morals and ethics through fictional role play and characters and things of that nature. Not unsurprising, as we've seen through our other videos. This is something that a lot of news sites did. So this one was created in 1999. In August of 1999, the Jedi Creed came on, and it was part of the big 3 of the Jedi community at the time. and that, of course, being you had the Jedi Creed, you also had the Force Academy, and the Jedi Academy. If you'll remember, we did those lessons on that. So, oh, and a quick note for those that were there for the Jedi Academy one, we did get Jedi Academy West working. Just wanted to quick pat on the back for that one. All right, so it is working for you. But so the Jedi Creed was really active. Oh, wrong one. Jedi Creed was really active all the way until about 2001, and what happened in 2001 was the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand census report. And what happened at the time was a lot of people put out a petition, emails, and things like that, saying to state Jedi as your religion. And as such, Jedi kind of the media grabbed onto it, and they really had a lot of fun with that. And for some people, it was indeed, you know, a joke. For others, it was a protest on the census itself. It really varied on the individual person. A lot of people really did believe that, but you did have hundreds of thousands of people putting Jedi as a religion on the census report. So so that ignited the media frenzy, and through this, in 2001, BBC report was done on this, you know, phenomena, and they looked specifically at the Jedi Creed, and they mentioned the Jedi Creed in their article, and they took things from it. They did a cursory look, right? They just did a topical look, and took things like whatever looked good for their report, right? Whatever helped them sell the idea that this was a huge joke with crazy people involved. The BBC report was actually really horribly done. It didn't have any objectivity. The writer obviously had a way he wanted to spin it, and he took what he wanted. Example being a post entitled throwing up, or what is puke, disgusting habit or life lesson. And the topic itself was just an interesting look at kind of bad things that happen, things we don't like, right? And then taking a lesson from that, right? Learning from those experiences rather than just writing them off as something that we didn't like or we never want to do again, right? But it actually looked at, okay, this happened though, so you have to accept it happened, and now what can you learn from it? What does this experience tell you? Not a bad lesson. Obviously, the title, you know, left something. You know, it was tongue-in-cheek, and the reporter took just that title and then simply put it out there as one of the serious philosophical discussions that the Jedi have on the Jedi Creed. And because of this article, and because of the negative outlook, and people already kind of thinking it's a joke, a lot of new people and a lot of attention came to the Jedi Creed. You had a lot of people signing up right away, and of course it was for trolling purposes. It was to kind of, you had a few that were really interested, that came by because they were interested in Jedi as a religion, or just, you know, in general. And but the Creed couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle sort of the pressure and the attention that they received from it. So that kind of went south quickly for them. Some of the leadership ended up kind of washing their hands of the community. Mythra really took a step back at that time, and really, you know, didn't want to be a part of it anymore, because he saw that people weren't able to look past the label at the lessons and the ideas that were being presented, the lifestyle that was being lived. And then Relin and Serene, of course, had different ideas, though. They felt they just needed a different place to focus, and so they re-upped their efforts in what they had originally started in the Jedi United project, which was an intention to unite the big three Jedi communities under one roof. Did not happen. We could probably get into that, the reasons why, some other time. But they took that membership and that framework and they created the Jedi organization. Now, there is a link in the description that you can look at. It's not on that. It's not on the archive site, but it is archived. You can take a look at it, and that's basically just for just to look at it. The link, a lot of the links don't work, but it has like a brief history there and things for you to look at and kind of understand where it came out of and what it grew out of, if you're interested in taking a look at that. So the Jedi Creed basically folded in 2001. I mean, it was still around until 2002, but the membership left, the role players, it was no longer a place for role players because a lot of people who were interested in Jedi religion or making fun of it had come in. They were destroying the chants, they were destroying the stories, and just overall messing up the general atmosphere that had been created for the past couple of years. So the Jedi Creed folded, and the leadership kind of went in their different directions on the focus that they had. At this time, the media was using a word, and they were using Jediism to describe the Jedi religion. And this is really where the Jedi community got Jediism from. This isn't to say the word didn't exist before. There's a lot of people who were doing it long beforehand, 1977, 1980s, who were part of like email groups and stuff like that, that have said that they remember the word being thrown about here and there. It wasn't the major word, it wasn't the major focus, but it did exist, and people were using it to kind of tie it into the Eastern feel of those original movies, to kind of tie it into Buddhism and Taoism, and then you had Jediism. But in 1997, 95, 97, 99, up to 2001, Jediism wasn't used in the community. We didn't use it. We didn't use really anything. We always focused on Jedi. That was just the terminology. We never even thought of any sort of anything else, really. It was Jedi, I want to live as a Jedi, I'm following the Jedi path, Jedi lifestyle, Jedi way, Jedi philosophy. There were no isms involved up until 2001. 2001 comes around, the media is using it, so people who have not been a part of the community for years have no idea that we don't actually use isms. So everybody knew, and of course there's this rush starts coming in, and they're interested in Jediism. And then they're asking for it. And now whether they're looking for Jedi as a religion or just Jedi as a philosophy didn't matter, because they didn't understand that Jediism kind of was always referring to the Jedi religion. The community really started referring to it in that way. The community started referring it as Jediism, as specifically the Jedi religion. That was our divide, because that's where the media kind of went with it. When every time they talked about the Jedi religion and the census report and Jediism, it was always about the Jedi religion. So that's kind of the angle we took with it, and that's where the majority of people who joined the community at the time were using it for, to say, oh, I want to join Jediism, Jedi as my religion. Now there is another site we can take a look at that we do have saved. But before we get to that, if you have any questions, you can, if you're watching with us, you can use the Q&A. As a note, you can use that Q&A at any time. Like anytime you're watching this, you can use the Q&A, and then I'll just get to it, so you can back up the questions if you want. We're doing things a little bit differently, and we're not going to be showing people on the videos. But if you are on the video chat and you do have a question, go ahead, throw your question in the chat box. And then I will answer them. But so if you have any questions, go ahead, throw them in the chat box, type them out. Same with you if you're following along on YouTube, or you're just using the Q&A option. Either way, you can throw those out there. All right, so we have a couple questions, and I'll go ahead and let's get into them. All right, so selecting this one, and we'll take a look. So Cayenne, California Jedi, asks, media reporting on the community, do you think we have a responsibility to act and show a certain face so we are taken seriously as a community by non-Jedi? Certainly there's, well, I mean, act like a Jedi, right? That's the only face we need to show. And yeah, I mean, you want to present a public relations face in a sense, but I mean, we shouldn't censor ourselves. Like the topic, puke, disgusting habit, or life lesson. No one should feel they can't express themselves freely because, oh, a news reporter might come along, take it out of context. And anything we say, no matter how good of a face you put on it, can be chopped up and taken out of context. So ultimately, the only face we need to show is being a Jedi, being true to our path. And people will either accept that or disagree with it or laugh it off, however they will. We can't really determine how people will look at it or how they will interpret it, right? And there's some people who aren't going to listen. So you can't please everybody. All you can do is follow your path, live your path, and be a Jedi. And from there, let the chips fall where they may. You'll get people who are like, wow, awesome, and will come along, and then you'll get people who are like, that's silly, you guys are dumb, and what are you going to do? You know, it is what it is. So I don't think there's a specific face for us to be taken seriously, but certainly there is something said for making sure that we are adhering to the path and holding each other accountable for that, and are remembering that at any time, any post that we put out in public can be taken away and can be used out of context. So it's just something to keep in mind. But as long as you're living as a Jedi and expressing yourself as a Jedi, I don't think there's anything else that we would ask of anyone in our community. Thank you, Cayenne. Okay, and then we have one from Christopher Byrne, who's also a member of California Jedi. And he asks, did the Jediism label also arise with the Jedi census phenomena started in New Zealand and Australia and later the UK? Yes, that's basically, in the community, that's where it comes from. Like, they got the job done, right? Like, on a census report now in the United Kingdom, they have code 896, and that denotes Jedi as a religion. If that was the goal, there, they got it. It's right there with like heathenism and atheism, I believe. I think atheists and heathens are the company that the Jedi keep as far as codes are concerned. But yeah, that's where it came from. Was that census phenomenon in 2001 is really what brought a lot of people into the Jedi community, and that was the word that they used, and we'll see kind of the product. We'll look at a site that's kind of the product of that came about in 2001. Soon, after I'm done with questions. Cayenne asks a follow-up question. All right. Follow-up to that, how do you think, considering the coming documentary, American Jedi, by the way, check it out, and new movie, we can prepare ourselves for media attention without collapsing the way the Creed did? Okay. 100% of the time, here's the answer to every single question. Be a Jedi. To expand upon that, right? The way to prepare is to simply have structure and order, right? Have an organizational structure and order. Have a way to welcome curious people. Have a way to welcome new energetic people, right? You're going to have a bunch of people who are going to come in and they're going to want to be Jedi Masters right off the bat, right? They're going to want to be the Skywalkers and the Kenobis and such. So you just have to have a good structure. You're going to have a sense of humor. It's just about, and keeping focus, right? All leadership needs to have the desired focus. So definitely, it's simply about having your structure in place, knowing that there's going to be new people looking, and knowing that there's going to be people that are going to be looking with a very critical eye. But basically, you're just open, honest. Here's the path. This is what we do. come on in. We're willing to talk more. Our door is always open. My inbox is open. You know, come talk. If you have questions, ask. No, you're not a Jedi Master just because you saw Star Wars. Okay, that's how it works. I don't care that you can recite the whole 2-hour movie off the top of your head. Still doesn't matter, right? Just having that structure in place and having those things ready to welcome people and to handle overflow and to handle, because people are really going to be go-getting when they're really excited and they're really energetic, you know, and they're really going to be going for it. So definitely just having that structure in place and being prepared for it. When the negative hits, be a Jedi, you know. If you need to step away from the computer or the phone or whatever the media device is and kind of get your Jedi meditation on, you know, do that. Don't feel you have to shoulder the whole Jedi community. There's plenty of people out there that will use the Jedi name and they'll use it for the wrong purpose, and the media will grab onto that because it's more sensational. It makes a better story. And you can't do anything about that, right? So you have to kind of just go with the flow on that one. You present yourself and your organization the best you can. Keep your focus on that and encouraging new people to live the Jedi way if they so desire. Let them explore it and in the way that allows them to grow within it. So that's my view, anyways. To expand on just be a Jedi. All right, just adhere to the path. Everything will work out. I promise. I promise. Okay. And we have some questions in the chat, I am sure. All right, we do. We have Alexander Orion from Jedi Knight from Temple of the Jedi Order. Okay, so that's not a question. I should have read that one. But it is a statement where he says we should behave according to our principles. Getting concerned with image is, yeah, I mean, keep your focus where it needs to be, right? And live the path, be the path. That'll work. It works itself out. That's simply it. American Jedi. And there we go. So okay, so that's the questions. Excellent. Yeah. So we're gonna look at Jediism. Again, it's in the links. If you don't have that, just follow along on the video. We will be doing that right. Oh. Okay. So Jedi Creed. So 2001. Jedi Creed starts to crumble. Sad. Turns into, actually, wait a minute, I can do this. Nope, can't do that. All right, so turns in Jediism, the Jedi religion. This is the first Jediism site, okay? This is the first one that came along. It was actually created in April 2001, and it was created by David Dory. I think he went something by like Yoda or something online, and it was very basic. It didn't look like this, okay? It was a very basic setup. I mean, this is a very basic setup, right? But it was worse than this. And basically what happened is he was just setting it up, and it was very focused on the movies and the hyperboil of the media attention. And it was actually an individual named Christopher. I call him Christopher Chandana. It's not how you pronounce it. People who know me know I kind of do names a little off. But here, you can take a look. It's Christopher. This is the individual. Though he doesn't have a picture. So Christopher Chanada is how it was. Came along and really put the site into this as you see it now. And in 2001, this is kind of the version that you got. Now, what it did is it took away the Jedi Code, and Christopher, at this time, offered, and this is the first time like it's seen So he does get the credit until we have concrete evidence otherwise. But this is the first time, and he's the first person to put out the Jediism code, which is actually the 21 Maxims of Jediism. Or it says here, the 21 Maxims of the Jediism code. Temple of the Jedi Order has shortened that. They also cleaned it up. They also did a nice job in kind of cleaning it up a bit. It's not verbatim what they teach over there, but it does originate from this. The 21 Maxims have survived in Jediism. You won't. Interesting note on the 21 Maxims is you're not going to find it outside of a site that doesn't use Jediism as a title. Okay, the 21 Maxims is very much Jediism. Now, Christopher drew from the various chivalry codes that exist. I believe it's 3 of them, historically speaking. And you can tell that in the layout. I probably should have pulled up a comparative site so you could take a look at that so you could see the comparison. But they're out there. Maybe I'll put that in the YouTube links later on after I do this. But okay, so you have these basic 21 principles of Jediism. You can see that they are very much based on chivalry and nobility of medieval times, but also there are ones that very much focus on Jedi from the fiction, like fictional concepts that were added in. And the way they explain it, of course, is through the Jedi vernacular. So this is what started it. You have, it goes on with your vows and all this that many groups actually used and built off of. This website, Jediism, is basically the Jedi Academy for the Jedi religion, for people who wanted to follow Jedi as a religion. When Jediism, for people who focus on the isms, or focus on Jedi as a religion, this is kind of their site, right, that they pull from. Where the original Jedi Community kind of pulled from all the old ones, such as you had the well, that didn't work. So you had the Force Academy. And you had, of course, the Jedi Academy on Yavin 4. All these kind of, offered a beginning step for people, and they grew from that. That's what Jediism was for the rest of the things. Even Temple of the Jedi Order, you can see a lot of the things that kind of grew from that, the inspiration. This is where people started. And then other site, and it encouraged other people, basically gave them the idea of, hey, I like that, I would like to start my own site though, and so many more sites were born out of it. You have basic meditations, no calming breath, because, and here's the interesting thing, this is where a divide starts with this wording of isms. This is where the divide starts. As this was the first site for Jediism followers, they did not know of and did not participate in the entire previous years and building process of the Jedi community, meaning they were starting over from scratch. So their 2001 was basically our, let's say, 1999. They were working off of that same thing, and they started going through the same struggles and same trial and error that we had gone through, but the community had obviously grown from all that. Each failure was a lesson. You learn, you grow, you apply, right? So Relin, when he was putting together the Jedi organization, and we can take a look at that real quick. When he was putting that together, he coined the term Jedi Realism, and he used it to differentiate between the Jediism, Jedi as a religion, and for what the community had been doing for previous years. So you had Jedi Realism that was meant to show, no, we follow this more as an inspiration. We follow this more for philosophy's sake. This is a lifestyle, but we don't follow it, but it's not our religion. Like, it being your religion is not a mandatory thing. With Jediism, it was meant to be your religion, as in replace your religion. That's how it was meant to be. Obviously, both sides have evolved since 2001, and so their definitions have evolved. These days, you are not really going to find the same meaning to the words. You're not going to find that same division because those glass walls are slowly breaking down. Now, when people come looking for Jediism, it is because, again, the media and the outward sources use that word all-encompassing. They don't care about our little glass walls and our petty squabbles, right? They don't care about that. They're just going to use whatever word works for them. So everybody new to the community doesn't know that we've had years of hashing out these kind of labels. And so Jediism is coming more to mean Jedi, and Jedi Realism is really just coming to mean Jedi, because even though we have, you still have kind of the difference in some of the teachings, like we looked at with the code, right? And the meditation is different. The meditation doesn't have the calming breath in here. Where the heck is the calming breath, right? And it doesn't have the regular 5-line. Where's the 5-line code? It's not even used in here at all. Nowhere. That's crazy talk, right? So even though those were core differences in the beginning, they're not so much. These days, you have the Jedi Code taught. Whether agreed with or not is a whole other subject, right? But it is there to be explored, and for each individual Jedi to determine the validity themselves, right? And to determine whether or not that's going to play a part as them living as a Jedi. Does the code work for me? Yes, no, why, maybe so, let me explore it further. And so all people are doing that now, right? If you are training to be a Jedi, you're going to follow a set core. The core is the same throughout Jediism. Whether you follow it as your religion, whether you follow it as your philosophy, it doesn't really matter, right? If you're a Christian Jedi, fine. If you're a Buddhist Jedi, cool. If you're a Jediist, right, because you follow Jedi as your religion, fine, excellent, whatever. But the core is the same. You're gonna have the same ideas of peace, knowledge, serenity, harmony, the Force. Those are gonna be there. Physical well-being, emotional well-being, intellectual well-being, social well-being, and spiritual well-being, those are all going to be there. It doesn't matter where you go. If those are not there, question that, because that is the core of the Jedi. That's always going to be there, regardless of these little glass walls and these unnecessary divides, such as isms, right? So definitely, consider that when you're looking at a group and what you want. But whether you go to Temple of the Jedi Order, whether you go to California Jedi, Chicago Jedi, or Institute of Jedi Realist Studies, you're going to find the same core and you're going to learn the same things, right? So don't feel like that these little 3 letters here really separate as much as they like to pretend. But that's basically this is just the grandfather of the Jedi, and now you have people who just say, well, I'm a Jedi, and then the question of religion can come up. It's a personal question anyways, right? So it can come up in its own time as necessary. Do you follow Jedi as a religion? Yes or no? Either the answer doesn't really matter in regards to whether or not you are a Jedi Knight or not. So that's just something to keep in mind. Those are the things that glass walls are what they are. The isms were there to kind of separate that and divide that line between religious and philosophical. it ended up changing. It's evolved, and now it's kind of dissolving. And we're recognizing we're a community. We're the Jedi community, and we follow the same core. So if you want to go ahead and use Jediism, cool deal. If you want to follow Jedi as your religion, cool deal. No, fine, right? No one side is better than the other. We all follow the same core. We're all striving for the same thing. World betterment through self-betterment is kind of where we're going with it. So definitely just wanted to really show where all these kind of like Jediism sites come from. And I do like that site. It's kind of fun. There's a couple Jedi who still, they actually sold necklaces of that emblem on Jediism. And there's some Jedi who still actually have those. And that's always a fascinating piece of history that you can take a look in and take part in. So that is that, and we're going to go into any questions. We're going to check to see if we have any questions. All right, so question number 1 from Cayenne, California Jedi. And her question is, why do you think they started from scratch? Did they not know about previous stuff, or did they think they had nothing in common? Originally, they didn't know about it. You know, it's like kind of how new people come into the community today. Talahane has actually, he's a rather new member into the community, and he has even expressed that even today, when you come into it, not everything is easy to find on the Google searches or in Facebook searches or whatever you're using to try to find it. Even on YouTube, it's not always easy to find what you're looking for. So a lot of people, and then this is 2001, it's, you know, a little bit ago. So it was different, and I think they mostly just didn't know. They were often surprised when they, you know, and often met people who were like, yeah, I've been in the community for like 3 years now. That was met with suspicion and like, what, really? No, we're the first ones. We kind of started it. A lot of them just felt that they started it and that they were the first ones to make the websites, and by the time they learned, the same thing that happens with all humans, hubris kind of sets in. You don't want to, you're stuck, right? You like what you've put forth better. Doesn't matter that people have been doing it for 3 years and falling flat on their face, and a lot of people use the failures of the past as a reason. Oh, well, then I'm not going to listen to you, right? You look at all those failures instead of realizing, yeah, but those are lessons. Those are important lessons. And then as it grew, the divide became very, very strong. If you were a Jedi realist, well, you didn't have the conviction to call Jedi your religion. You were faithless, and ergo you were not a real Jedi. You were just a role player. You were just pretending to be a Jedi. That divide, those are actual comments from people way back then that felt that's what it was. And likewise on the other divide, oh, you follow Jedi as your religion? Oh, so you have no standards, you don't know what you're doing, you're just sitting there pretending like you're Jedi, and you're just tapping up a person you like. Oh, I like you, we're friends, boom, you're my apprentice, cool. 2 months later, you're a Jedi Knight. No, I haven't been training you, but we've been talking about Star Wars, and we've had a good time, so bam, I'm upgrading you. And while we had learned, whew, that's gonna come back, that's gonna create that, that's building castles on sand. That's not really gonna work. But so you had people being like, oh, realism's, you know, we actually do Jedi training. We actually live as Jedi. We don't just sit there and say, because we say our prayers to the Force, you know, think we're a Jedi. You know, we're real Jedi. Hence Jedi realism. You know, you had that really core divide. So then, when it first came out, after a while, like 2002, you did not, like, very, very few people interacted or crossed that divide. It just, there was no love lost there. You know, that's the nature of isms when they first come out. That's the nature of creating dividing lines. They do in fact divide. So yeah, that's basically what happened. At first, it was just ignorance. And then as it learned, you know, you did have people who had taken a hard stance to it, and some Jedi who took offense to Jediism coming in and all of a sudden teaching stuff and teaching different stuff, and not that it's like necessarily bad, right? Like the meditations there are just like ours. They were taken from somewhere, and kind of, you know, the idea of you still had to practice being a Jedi, you still had to live it. The concepts weren't technically bad. It was just the structure was off, and well, the accountability most of all was off. The standards were off, of course, and so you did have people who took offense to basically the newcomers coming in, and they were the popular kids, right? The media had been putting Jediism out there, so now all the members that were coming into all these big communities, whoop, they're going to all these other ones, and we're like, whoa, 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 that's not right, man, that's not right, because, you know, they don't know what they're doing. So yeah, so eventually it created that divided line, and it took time. But eventually, now it's the experience level is catching up to one another, because people go across. People are not caring about isms anymore. They don't care. They're not paying attention. Oh, I'm at Temple of the Jedi Order. Oh yeah, they follow Jediism, right? Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, that's what's on the website. Absolutely. Is that what I follow? I'm not really into the ism, so, right? That's how a lot of the Jedi who have been around for about 5 to 10 years are now looking at things. They're kind of dropping off on the isms and that divide. So, so that is switching, even though they did start from scratch. That's silly of them, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, so that one's done. All right, next one from Christopher Bird, California Jedi. Let's take a look. Even though Jediism began from whole cloth, is it possible to arrive in the same place? That is, being a good Jedi given just the same source material, Star Wars media. What are the disadvantages from starting from scratch? Are there advantages? It is absolutely possible to get to the same place. I don't think it's possible. I mean, it is possible. It's absolutely possible to get to the same place, but it's gonna take time. There's a reason why, like, craftsmen and stuff have that. You know, you have your master apprentice, you know, relationship. You have the study. You have the school. You learn from people who have been doing it for 20 years, right? You go to them. Because, you know, what is the quote? The master has failed more times than the student has even attempted, right? Same principle. You can arrive at the same place. I think individually you have a better chance of arriving there a lot sooner. Organizationally, as a big group, you're going to fall into those same hurdles. It's going to take that same kind of time frame to readjust, go through the struggles, learn from it, adjust, readjust your requirements, readjust your standards, readjust your testing, your materials, and then you got to get the people who aren't good with change, and they're like, no, I want to keep it the old way. So you have that fight going on, and it takes time. Like, as I say, 2001, that's over 10 years ago, and now we're basically starting to all kind of line up, you know, pretty close to the same kind of structure, the same kind of standards, the same kind of training. Flavors, takes, observations, of course, all differ from place to place. Vernacular kind of differs a bit, but basically we still all share. Now we have that core, and we really all teach that core. So definitely we have, and we are all getting to that exact same place. So definitely we can get to the same place because the core is there, right? It is in the Star Wars media. It is in the fiction, and that's all our inspiration, right? We're all inspired by that, and we all are striving towards that kind of goal, living the dream of being a Jedi Knight in real life. And so you kind of, when you're disseminating that information, you're gonna arrive in a pretty good area, right? You're all gonna arrive at a you know, big circle, right? It's a big area, but you're all gonna get there. And of course, you're going to have your difference and your little tribal differences and your little geographic differences, but the core is going to be there, absolutely. There's disadvantages, of course, starting from scratch when you don't have to, and that is you are reinventing the wheel. You are going to go through the same mistakes. You're going to go through the same failures. You're gonna hit stumbling blocks and obstacles that you probably wouldn't have had to if you would just like learn from the people that had gone before you. That's the whole point, right? I've learned all this, so let me at least kind of ease these obstacles and struggles that are coming along, so you can kind of get going and walk a smoother path, while still understanding kind of the importance of the lessons, what we learn from them, and why these are important. The advantages are the same advantages of anything that you start on your own. Those failures. There's something to be said for going through it yourself and having your own personal experience of failing, of trying again, of what works and what doesn't, of knowing through your own experience exactly those kind of what works, successes and failures. It's one thing to learn from somebody. It's quite another to really go through it yourself. So those would be your normal. It's your normal advantages and disadvantages. Nothing specific to the Jedi. It's just your normal organizational and community structure, and any kind of learning that you're doing, any kind of growth that you're doing, whether personally or in a group. Those are the things. So there's nothing, no advantage or disadvantage Jedi-wise. But yeah, we definitely all get to the same place. All right, and let's see if we have any questions. I know you're staring at my mug while I'm trying to read. Alexander is correcting the terminology. They aren't maxims. That is a particular literary style from 17th century literary salons of Paris. True, but I didn't write it, man. I didn't write it. I got to call it what it is, right? Those are the things. That's what they did. And let's see. And there we go. Okay. All right. So that seems to be all the questions. You can type them out now. I don't know. If you haven't been, you should have been. Type quickly. But that, I believe, is going to wrap up this episode. So thanks for joining this week. Sorry for the mix-up on times and technical difficulties on Monday. We may be changing it to Thursday nights if this works. So if this time works for you, if you prefer Thursdays at 4 or Thursdays at 3, somewhere in that time frame, go ahead, let us know in the comments. Let me know, shoot me an email or a private message, whatever. Let me know, and then we'll change it. Why not? Seems to be working. All right, so that does it. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a good night, everybody.